Everyone, I've got a story for you today that still gives me the chills just thinking about it. It happened a few years back, when I was about 20. I was trying to save up some money for school, so I got this night job at a little gas station. Not a fancy one, just a small old place out on a quiet road, miles from anywhere big. Most nights, it was super boring. Just me, the dusty shelves, and the hum of the old fridge. Nothing ever happened. One Tuesday night, I was working the graveyard shift from midnight to 8 in the morning. It was super quiet, just like always. I had an old radio behind the counter, always tuned to the same country station. It was kind of staticky sometimes, but I didn't mind. It kept me company. Around 2 in the morning, the static got weird. It wasn't just fuzzy, it sounded like whispers, super soft, like someone talking far away, almost under the music. I figured it was just the old radio acting up, maybe a storm brewing miles away. I tapped it a few times, but it just kept on making that strange sound, a soft, hushed murmuring. I shrugged it off, thinking, man, I must be tired. I even thought I saw something move outside, way out past the pumps, near the dark line of trees. But it was super dark, and my eyes were probably playing tricks on me. I blinked a few times, looked hard, but saw nothing. Just the dark night and the lonely road. I tried to shake it off, but then the whispers started again, louder this time. It sounded almost like a breathy, stretched-out word, but I couldn't make it out. My stomach started to feel a little funny. I pulled out my phone to text my friend, just to distract myself. But when I looked at it, the screen was just black, dead. That was weird. I knew I'd charged it all day. I tried the wall charger, but nothing. It was totally unresponsive. Then I picked up the gas station's landline, the old corded phone, just to call my parents. It didn't even make a dial tone, nothing, just a dead line. At the same time, the lights in the gas station started to flicker, once, twice, then stayed on, but dimmer. It felt like the whole place was just dying. And that's when I knew this wasn't just me being tired, or the old radio acting up. Something was really wrong. My heart started to pound hard against my ribs. I looked out the big front windows, trying to see if anything was out there, but it was just empty road and the dark trees. Then, I saw it. A car. But it was moving super slow, just gliding down the road, and it didn't have its headlights on. As it got closer to the gas station, I could see it was one of those really old, beat-up sedans, covered in rust. It rolled right past the pumps and stopped at the very edge of our lot, facing the trees. I couldn't see anyone inside, but the way it just stopped, so silently, felt really bad. I just stood there, frozen, watching it. I wanted to run, to just get out of there. My car was parked right by the side door. I thought, okay, I'll just sprint to my car and drive away. I grabbed my keys from the hook where I always left them, but my hand brushed against empty air. They weren't there. I checked again, frantically patting my pockets, looking on the counter, but they were just gone. My hands started to shake. The front door of the gas station was locked, but the old lock felt weak. I pushed against it, like I could hold it shut by force, but it felt like something was pushing back from the other side, just slightly. Then, the whispers started again. Not from the radio this time, but from somewhere inside the gas station, close to me. It wasn't static. It was like a dry, raspy breathing, getting closer. The light flickered again, and this time, the whole place went dark for a second, then came back on. The old soda fridge in the corner, which always hummed, suddenly went completely silent. My eyes darted around, trying to see something in the dim light. I heard a crash from the back of the store, near the storage room. It sounded like something had fallen, or been thrown. I could hear shuffling, heavy and slow, coming near the counter. My breath hitched in my throat. I backed away, pressing myself against the shelves, trying to be as small as possible. I saw it then, a shape, tall and dark, moving between the aisles. It wasn't human. It was too tall, too thin, and it seemed to absorb the light around it. It moved strangely, like its limbs were too long and bent in odd ways. I couldn't see any face, just darkness where a head should be. It turned its non-face to me, and though I couldn't see eyes, I felt like it was looking right at me. It started to move faster, sliding down the aisle near me. My legs felt like jelly, but I had to move. I wasn't just scared anymore. I was terrified. It wanted me. I ducked behind the counter, my heart beating like a drum. I scrambled on my hands and knees, praying there was a way out. I remembered a small, old door at the back of the storage room that led outside to the dumpsters, a door we never used. I crawled to it, hearing the strange shuffling sound get closer. Right outside the counter, I heard the crash of bottles as it knocked something over. I got to the storage room, fumbling for the handle on the old door. It was stiff, but I pulled with all my might. It creaked open just enough for me to squeeze through. I burst out into the cool night air, scrambling to my feet and running as fast as I could, not looking back. I ran through the dark lot, past the silent, rusty car, and didn't stop until I was miles down the road, shivering and out of breath. I didn't know where I was going, just away. I never went back to that gas station, not even to get my last paycheck. My parents thought I was crazy, that I'd just worked too many late nights and imagined things. But I know what I saw, and I know what I heard. I never figured out what that thing was, or why it was there, or why it picked that night. Was it just waiting for someone to be alone? Was it always there, lurking in the dark, just waiting for the right moment? I still don't know, and honestly, I don't want to. But every now and then, when the lights flicker, or I hear a strange sound on the radio, I remember that night. And I wonder if it's still out there, on that quiet, lonely road, waiting for its next victim. It makes you think, doesn't it? What really lurks in the quiet, forgotten places of the world? I got this job working the night shift at a big, almost empty supermarket. Not a cool, busy store, but one of those huge, quiet ones way out on the edge of town, where not many people came after dark. My job was to stock shelves and clean up after the day crew. It was super boring, just me and a couple of other guys, usually far apart in the huge store. We'd listen to music on our headphones, just getting through the night. The store was always brightly lit, super clean, and I felt really safe there. What could possibly go wrong in a place full of cereal boxes and canned beans? It all started small, like these things always do. One night I was stocking cereal in aisle 7, and I heard this faint sound. It was like a soft dragging noise, almost like something heavy being pulled slowly across the floor, but super muffled. I thought, maybe one of the other guys is moving a pallet jack really quietly. But it sounded a bit squishy too. I shrugged it off. It's a big old building, right? Pipes clanking, air conditioning humming. Probably just the building, settling or something. I glanced down the long aisle, but it was empty. Just rows and rows of colorful boxes under the bright fluorescent lights. I went back to my work, trying to ignore it. A few nights later, the sounds started up again. This time I was in aisle 12 putting away frozen veggies, and the dragging sound was back, only clearer now, and closer. It came from aisle 11, right next to me. Schlurp, drag, schlurp, drag. It really did sound wet, like something slimy being pulled. My skin started to prickle a little. I peeked around the end cap of my aisle, looking into aisle 11. It was completely empty. No one there. Just the usual hum of the freezers. But then, as I watched, a single carton of milk sitting neatly on the shelf in the dairy section. Slowly slid forward a few inches, then stopped. No one touched it. No one was even near it. My eyes got wide. I quickly looked away, then back, but it was still just sitting there. I told myself it was the floor vibrating, or maybe the shelf was uneven. That had to be it. I picked up my pace, trying to finish my section quickly, my heart thumping a little faster. The weird stuff kept happening. The dragging sounds got louder, sometimes sounding like they were right behind me. I'd whip around, but nothing. Just empty aisles. Then, things started to move. Not just a milk carton. I'd turn my back for a second to grab another box, and when I looked back, a whole row of soup cans would be slightly crooked, or a bag of chips would be lying on the floor, perfectly flat, like someone had stepped on it. I even saw my own shadow, once stretched super long down an aisle, and it looked like it had an extra limb. A long, thin arm that waved for a second, then snapped back to normal. I blinked, rubbed my eyes. Too many energy drinks, I told myself. You're just tired. I tried to get help. I tried calling my supervisor, Mr. Jenkins, from the store's landline phone. It just rang and rang, then went to voicemail. I tried calling my co-worker Mike on his store radio. Nothing but static. It was like I was suddenly all alone in the store. The other guy, Bob, was working on the far side of the building, probably listening to his music and wouldn't hear anything. I decided to check the security cameras. We had a small office with monitors. I went in and pulled up the feeds. Every camera showed empty aisles, but then I tried to pull up aisle 11, where the milk carton moved. The screen just flickered, then went completely black. No signal. I tried another camera in aisle 7, where I first heard the dragging. Same thing. Black screen. Every time I tried to look at the spot where the weird stuff happened, the camera just died. It was like something was blocking it or didn't want to be seen. My hands started to shake. This wasn't just old building stuff anymore. This was targeted. One night, it escalated. I was in the back storage area, sorting boxes, when all the lights in the entire store flickered, then went out. Not just dimmed, but completely black. Every single light. My heart jumped into my throat. The emergency lights, those dim ones, usually kick on right away, but they didn't. The entire store was swallowed by absolute darkness, except for a tiny sliver of moonlight coming through the skylight high above. It was so quiet I could hear my own blood rushing in my ears. I fumbled for my flashlight, hands sweating. Then I heard it. Not the dragging this time. It was a low, guttural breathing sound, like something very big and very heavy was taking deep, raspy breaths. It sounded like it was coming from one of the aisles, not far from me. Ha! Ha! It sounded wet and ragged. I froze, not daring to move. My flashlight beam cut through the darkness, darting around. It hit the end of aisle 9, and for a split second, I saw something. It was tall, way taller than a person, maybe 7 or 8 feet. It was hunched over, covered in what looked like dark, wet fabric or skin, and it had limbs that bent in ways that didn't look natural. Its head was low, almost touching the floor, and I could see a strange, dull shimmer where its eyes should be. It was moving, shifting, almost like it was sniffing the air. And then it turned its head to me. There was no face, just a dark, smooth, featureless surface, but I felt it looking at me. It knew I was there. The breathing stopped. And then I heard a squelching sound, and a heavy, wet thump, followed by another. It was moving, fast, coming down aisle 9, right near me. I dropped my flashlight and ran. I ran blindly through the pitch-black storage room, crashing into boxes, not caring. I just needed to get out. I knew there was an emergency exit door near the loading docks. I had to find it. The sounds behind me were getting closer, the wet thumps and the ragged breathing. I could almost feel its presence right behind me. I burst through the exit door, not even caring if an alarm went off, and just ran out into the cold night. I didn't stop running until I was miles away, gasping for air, shaking all over. I never went back to that supermarket. I didn't even call to quit. I just vanished. My parents thought I was crazy, that I'd had a breakdown from working too many late nights. But they didn't see what I saw. They didn't hear what I heard. What was that thing? Was it an animal? A person? Something else entirely? Was it always there, hiding in the dark corners of that huge store, just waiting for the lights to go out? Or did it just show up that night, drawn by the quiet? I still don't know. But every time I pass a big, empty building, especially at night, I get this cold feeling down my spine. And I wonder, what else is lurking in those quiet, dark places that we never see? What's really hiding just out of sight? I've always been pretty normal, you know? My life is usually super boring. I'm not one for wild adventures or anything like that. So, when my friend Sarah asked me to house sit for her, I thought, great. Easy money. Quiet time. I can finally catch up on my reading. Her place was in a nice, sleepy neighborhood, the kind where the loudest thing you hear is a leaf blower on a Saturday morning. What could go wrong, right? Sarah is a huge fan of all those smart home gadgets. Her house was like a spaceship. Every light, every plug, even the front door lock, could be controlled with an app or by just talking to a little speaker. I'm not really into all that tech stuff, but hey, it was her house. I just needed to water her plants and feed her cat, Mittens. Seemed simple enough. My first night there was calm. I read a book, watched some TV, and went to bed feeling totally relaxed. But then it happened. I woke up shivering. My teeth were chattering, and I could actually see my breath in the air. I looked at the smart thermostat on the wall and it said 40 degrees. 40. It felt like an icebox. I thought, Sarah must be messing with me, or maybe her tech is just buggy. I quickly opened the app on my phone and cranked the heat all the way up. I was a bit annoyed, but I just shrugged it off, thinking it was a one-time glitch. The next afternoon, I was just chilling on the couch, reading my book, with Mittens purring on my lap. Suddenly, from the smart speaker in the living room, there was this really weird noise. It wasn't music or a notification. It was like a short, scratchy burst of static, but at the end of it, it almost sounded like a choked whisper. It startled me so bad I practically jumped off the couch. Mittens even hissed a little. I looked at the speaker, but it was just sitting there, quiet again, with its little light glowing blue. I told myself it was probably just the Wi-Fi acting up or some weird signal. I even tried to laugh it off, but I felt a little tingle down my spine. That evening, things started to get really spooky. I was in the kitchen, making some tea. The smart lights in the living room, which are usually a nice warm glow, started to dim and brighten all on their own. Slowly at first, then faster and faster, like a crazy, silent light show. It was like something from a bad movie. I tried yelling, "Lights off," at the smart speaker, but it didn't do anything. I grabbed my phone, opened the app, but it just froze up on me. It wouldn't let me control anything. I even flipped the regular light switch on the wall, but the smart bulbs kept doing their weird pulsing thing. That's when the first real shiver of fear went through me. This wasn't just a glitch anymore. I decided I'd had enough. I went to the living room and found the smart speaker, unplugged it. Then I went to the main smart home box, which was a little black gadget with a bunch of blinking lights, and unplugged that too. There, I thought. That should fix it. I felt a huge wave of relief wash over me. I went to bed, hoping to finally get some sleep, but I didn't. I woke up at 3 a.m. to music. Not just any music, but a creepy, old lullaby. It was the same one from that really scary horror movie I watched years ago, the one that gave me nightmares. It was playing from the living room speaker, the one I unplugged. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Slowly, carefully, I got out of bed. I crept to the living room, and sure enough, there it was, plugged back in, with its light glowing. And the main smart home box, which I'd also unplugged, was blinking its red light again. A cold, heavy dread settled over me. This wasn't just a glitch. Something was doing this on purpose.